My sister is so twisted that just to stop me from marrying my fiancé, she broke her own leg. Later, my fiancé and my best friend murdered me. At my funeral, those two actually schemed about how to spend my inheritance, but my sister, one with the crippled leg, hunted them halfway across the globe like a madwoman. Now I'm reborn, when my fiancée wrapped her arms around me, telling me to slip a knockout drug into my sister's drink. I pushed away from that woman and her sickening. Smile. What could my sister possibly have done wrong? She just loves me too much. Ethan, when the time comes, just put this stuff in your sister's drink. She definitely won't suspect you. This could knock out an elephant. Once she's asleep tonight, I'll get you out of here, okay? Person across from me gently squeezed my wrist, but my mind wasn't on her. My gaze fixed behind her, on the shadows under the large tree swaying at our front door. My sister, white dress on, kitchen knife in hand, stood there, eyes dark and menacing, watching us both. By the time I realized I'd truly been reborn, my sister had already dragged me inside. Knife in her left hand, she fumbled around the doorframe with her right. Couldn't find any rope, so she pulled off her own tie and bound my wrists. You're forbidden to see Ashley. Ashley, my fiancée, the woman who just told me to drug my sister. I let my sister fuss over the knot, head bowed. She was so careful not to hurt me, even patting the spot with cotton. Sis, she clamped her hand over my mouth. Shut up. If you dare plead for Ashley again, I'll kill her. That was how it went last time. My sister and I slowly grew apart. I was head over heels for Ashley, never knowing she'd already hooked up with my best friend Sean. Two of them plotted to kill me for the insurance money. I truly thought Ashley was my soulmate, but my sister tried desperately to stop me. In anger, I'd said horrible things. Chloe, you're twisted, imprisoning your own brother. Do you know why the neighbors avoid you? Because you're a freak. I hate you too. Why did you have to be my sister? I don't want you as my sister anymore. I still remember how pale her eyes looked. She was beautiful to the core, but fragile, about to shatter. Calmly, she tied me up and said, "Dinner is fish head stew with tofu, your favorite." When I came to, tied to a chair, she was cooking. My sister really is an unstable, extreme control freak, but what fault is hers? She just doesn't know how to love me. I zoned out. She came from the kitchen. What's wrong? Sis, I tilted my head, smiled. Why aren't you fighting? Playing hardball didn't work, so now you're trying soft? She muttered, turning to leave. I cleared my throat, put a little whine in my voice. Sis, it hurts. 3 seconds later, she was squatting in front of me, frantic. Where does it hurt? Should we go to the hospital? She wanted to touch me but didn't dare. I used to scream at her not to dot. My fingertips brushed her soft dark hair. She froze, shocked. I traced the corner of her eye. Sis, this life, it's my turn to protect you. Seriously, since I'm reborn, Ashley and Sean, those trash don't deserve to live. Why should they dirty my sister's hands? Near the corner store, Ashley folded her arms and frowned. Ethan, if you don't get your sister knocked out tonight, don't expect me to help you escape. In my last life, I'd listened and drugged my sister. Maybe Chloe had a high tolerance. She woke halfway, chased me, stumbled, fell down the stairs and broke her leg. Even now I see her red eyes on the floor, crying, Don't come back, they're bad people. Trust your sister? Sister would never lie to her brother, not even in death. But I'd seen her only as a control. Freak wanting to lock me up forever. Sean showed up with a popsicle and flopped beside me. Ethan, just watch the dosage, enough to make her sleep. Besides, she's scum, she deserves to die. Would someone who deserved to die drag a crippled leg across the world to avenge the brother who ignored her? I glared at the packet of knockout drops. A plan formed. You went to see Ashley again? The moment I entered, someone hugged me from behind. My sister's elegant nose nuzzled my neck. Her breath was light, but Chloe's face looked paler than usual. She had a fever. Sis, why didn't you go to the hospital? You promised you'd be back by 6. It was already 9. Even with a raging fever, she'd waited. I cooked. Shrimp and scallop congee, first time I'd ever cooked for her. She eyed the bowl suspiciously. Are you going to eat or not? She finally tasted it. Sis, have you thought about our future? I'm graduating soon. We could sell this. House moved to the coast, open the flower shop you dreamed of. She grabbed my chin, delicate fingers cold. Convenient for you to run away? Stop lying, Ethan. In a new place, the first thing you do is abandon me. Then tell me how to prove it. The lights flickered out, darkness. She pulled me into a heated embrace. Fingers caressed my back. I kissed her back, feeling her fever, hot hands. Soon we were tangled on the bed, something we'd never done in my last life. We weren't blood-related anyway. Yet her eyes always said possession. Later, washing dishes, I was avoiding her. She appeared, hugged me, pressed a cup of warm milk to my lips. I drank. Good boy, she murmured, ruffling my hair. Seconds later, my head spun dizzy. There was something in the milk. This time you did very well, Ethan, but you shouldn't have left the drug where I could find it. She misunderstood. I'd kept the drug to have it analyzed, but she thought I still intended to knock her out. She tied me up again. Do you hate your sister that much? She whispered. You tricked me once. Did you think you could trick me twice? I tried to explain, but my limbs were heavy. She kissed me. I fumed. You're the one who doesn't trust me. Ashley gave me that drug. I took it only to collect evidence. Kisses cut me off. My sister's expression frantic, almost broken. I couldn't blame her. In the past I'd done worse, sleeping pills in her breakfast, calling cops on her. My lies scarred her, so I kissed her first. Soft lips, shock blossoming in her eyes, and then she lost control, pinning me to the mattress. I whispered, You're going to torture your sister to death. In the end I promised myself, this life, I'd stay with Chloe, tormenting each other until death. She fed me spoonfuls of congee, my hands still tied. Sis, I whined. She paused the spoon. Ethan, last time you whined like this you almost sent your sister to jail? Under the table my leg brushed hers. Faint blush climbed her cheeks. If she hadn't just devoured me like a starving wolf, I might have believed her innocent. Sis, do you believe in fate? Last night I dreamed I married Ashley. You broke your leg. Ashley and Sean killed me. You dragged that useless leg across the world and took revenge, so I hate Ashley now. She stayed expressionless. Oh, really? Coincidence. I dreamed the little brother spun a beautiful lie, deceived his sister completely, made her drunk on hope, then abandoned her. I laughed. She frowned. Then forget it, sister. Whatever you do to me, I'm willing. In the shower, I cranked the water to freezing, knowing I'd catch a cold. Later, my head throbbed. Sis, I think I have a fever, I muttered at her. Door, vision blurring, she grabbed my wrist. To the hospital. In the taxi, I leaned on her shoulder, shivering, clutching her coat. She held my hand, trembling. My sister was too perfect. God gave her one weakness. Me. At the hospital, she carried me into the emergency room, placed me in a chair in the fore area, straightened my collar, then squatted in front of me. Sweetie, I'm going to pay the bill. I'll be right back. Be good, okay? You'll feel better after the 4. I buried half my face in her coat, eyes following her. I nodded. She patted my head, and that's where our story, this second chance, really begins. Leaned in, kissed the corner of my mouth. I watched her retreating figure. She really wanted to get back to me quickly, but I dropped her coat onto the chair, turned around, and slipped out into the vast night outside the hospital. I really wanted to stay with my sister forever. Maybe someday my sister would understand I truly loved her, but time was running out. I couldn't let Ashley and Sean lose patience with me. I'd finally managed to get some evidence of their crimes. It was 4 a.m., just before dawn. I called Ashley. She didn't answer. Right at this hour, who wouldn't be asleep? At the same time, I couldn't stop thinking how frantic my sister would be when she found me gone. When I was very young, my sister lost me in a department store. I cried amidst the crowd. She pushed through the endless stream of people to hold me, trembling with anxiety. Every time after that, my sister always found me until the last life. She broke her leg, and her brother still left without looking back. The ringing phone interrupted my thoughts. It was Ashley. I answered. You escaped. There was a moment of silence on her end before she asked me, Yeah, my sister's tough to deal with. She confiscated the drug. Can you get me another dose? Don't worry. She's lowered her guard around me now. It'll definitely work this time. To dispel Ashley's suspicion, I had to pretend to utterly despise my sister. And Ashley sounded strange today too, like she was using a voice changer. This wasn't good. It meant Ashley was starting to suspect me. Like dominoes falling, I was afraid my changes would completely alter the timeline. How can I trust you, Ashley? Are we really talking about trust between us? Sure enough, Ashley must have sensed something. I had no choice but to raise the stakes, took a deep breath, and said the words, "Don't you know I like you?" Silence on her end again for a long time. Then she asked me, "What about your sister? I need to be sure you haven't been turned by her." My sister? I can't even be bothered to look at her, just a dog clinging to me. If she died someday, I'd set off fireworks to celebrate. Not true, that's not it. I was definitely saying the opposite. I closed my eyes, silently adding the correction in my head. She finally seemed reassured on the other end. Gave me an address, 876 South Street. Be careful. Ashley and Sean were definitely involved in illegal activities. I even suspected, before they met me, they'd already conspired to scam insurance from others. So this time I secretly turned on my phone's recording app. I glanced down at my phone screen, 45 missed calls. All from my sister. The meeting place was an abandoned warehouse. Ashley was always cautious, making even running away seem like some illicit operation. In my last life, I somehow didn't sense anything wrong. Dawn was breaking, light filtering through the dusty windows. I still felt my head heavy and dull, thinking, get some evidence quickly, call the police, get Ashley and Sean arrested. My sister Chloe, my thoughts suddenly tangled fiercely, weaving through my mind. I couldn't stop thinking her name. Turns out even a moment's betrayal and separation could make me feel like suffocating. I didn't want to lie to my sister anymore. I really regretted it. Reaching the end of the warehouse floor, I froze. The sun was just rising. Someone was tied to a chair, mumbling incoherently. It was Ashley. And behind her stood my sister, hands in her pockets, fiddling with a SIM card. In that instant, I suddenly realized my sister had tied up Ashley. She'd learned to solve problems at the source. No wonder the voice changer. The person on the phone wasn't Ashley, it was Chloe. What had I said to my sister on the phone? I'd said, "My sister, I can't even be bothered to look at her, just a dog clinging to me. If she died someday, I'd set off fireworks to celebrate." I was screwed. The rising sun drew a sharp dividing line between her and me. I stood there, stunned, my throat dry. "Sis?" She tilted her head slightly. Her beautiful eyes reflected me, devoid of emotion. "Are you going to plead for her?" She nudged the person tied to the chair in front of her. Ashley was clearly terrified, looking at me desperately, pleading for help. Such a coward. "Sis, let me be clear, I'm not taking her side, but we don't do illegal stuff." "So you are pleading for her?" She cut me off. The sister felt so unfamiliar. I'd never thought my sister would look at me with those eyes, calm, cold, silent. What could I say? Explanations? My sister wouldn't believe them. It would only make things worse, eventually snapping the thread between us. I thought my sister would get angry, yell at me, tie me up, and take me home to deal with me, but she did none of that. Her calmness terrified me, like sinking slowly into a lifeless swamp. After a long moment, I heard her sigh. "Ethan, you know I like you. I'm afraid of many things, and every single one involves you afraid you'll get hurt, afraid you'll go bad, afraid you'll leave. These past few days I kept wondering, just how much do you hate me? Hate me enough to sacrifice yourself?" Then I realized even if I held on to you forcefully, you would still leave. So, Ethan, I won't stop you anymore. My sister gave the woman a push. The sunlight didn't catch my sister's retreating figure. I only caught her words, "You and her live well together? Remember to go to the hospital?" "Sis won't take you." I stood there stunned for a long while. I finally understood. My sister didn't want me anymore. In the empty warehouse, Ashley was so moved she was almost crying, sobbing. "Ethan, I knew it. You do care about me. Your sister's a psycho. Call the police quickly. Get her arrested." I kicked the chair she was tied to, knocking it over. "Who does she think she is?" Ashley didn't dare call the police because she herself was involved in illegal dealings. The woman wailed behind me, yelling for me to untie her. I ignored her. After a brief internal struggle lasting 2 or 3 seconds, I ran out of the warehouse. I decided to chase after my sister. Growing up, it was always my sister comforting me, so my sister couldn't abandon me. I didn't know where my sister went. Decided to go home first to find her. Now, it was my turn to call her phone and not get through how the tables have turned. Sitting in the car, I typed out a long text message to her, then deleted it word by word. I suddenly felt like I'd caught my sister's craziness. I was going mad too. When I couldn't see her, my mind was filled with her. I finally found my sister, not at home, but at the convenience store near our house. I stood at the store entrance, took a couple of steps forward, but froze under the streetlight. The convenience store was mostly empty in the early morning. My sister wore a black coat, her features delicate and beautiful, her skin almost chillingly pale. Lowered her eyelids as she handed something to the cashier. The cashier was a young guy, sneaking glances at her. My sister curved her eyes into a smile at him. I exploded right there at the entrance. Somewhere in my heart felt like it had been brutally squeezed. My sister came out of the store, looked at me with some surprise. A faint morning ray fell on her face. I stood directly in her path, so she tilted her head slightly. "Excuse me." The way my sister looked at me like I was a stranger, I couldn't hold it together anymore. "Sis?" The end of the word cracked. I watched as my sister's pupils slowly widened. Then she pulled me into her arms. Her fingertips brushed my cheek. "What are you crying for? Stop crying." "Sis was wrong. It's my fault. Stop crying, okay?" Everything she was holding fell to the ground just so she could wipe my tears. I looked at her, choking back. "So I never had parents growing up? And now you don't want me either, Chloe. How could you be so cruel?" She said, Okay, it's all my fault." "You really know how to make me worry. Stop crying." All right, but I was crying until I could barely breathe, until I felt my nose getting stuffy. Then I suddenly remembered I was still sick with that cold and the virus in my body. It felt like an all-out assault. My head spun violently. Then I remembered I'd been running around all night. Hadn't even finished half the 4-bag load. My consciousness started to fade. I grabbed onto her sleeve at the very last second. I could still hear my sister frantically calling my name. Something covered my eyes, a black cloth. I couldn't see anything, so all my other senses kicked in, amplified. Someone brushed my bangs aside, touched my forehead. The fingers were slightly rough. It was my sister. "Sis," I called out. She didn't answer. Instead, I felt her reach out and undo the top button of my shirt, then move downward. I shivered slightly. She gently rubbed my earlobe. "Good boy," she said softly. "Let's check your temperature." "Sissy, why are my eyes covered?" I caught the sound of her breath right by my ear. It was deafening, like it had been magnified 10,000 times. My heart pounded. "You need to be punished," she whispered. "I have a fever, sister." She tied my wrists patiently, so I had no choice but to follow her voice. But then she fell silent. All I could hear was the rustling of fabric, the sheets shifting, then her hand again, gently taking my wrist, winding a silk ribbon around it again and again. It didn't hurt, it wasn't even uncomfortable, but there was an ache, just like the ache she was to me. "Sis, I was wrong." I had no choice but to beg her. She hummed, softly. I couldn't tell what she was feeling. My world was pure darkness. She took the thermometer from under my arm, probably checking the number. "Where were you wrong?" I heard her ask me. "I shouldn't have lied to you. I shouldn't have contacted Ashley." But sis, contacting them. I really just wanted to get them. A warm touch landed on my forehead, most likely her own, checking my fever. "You're wrong, Ethan. I'm not angry because you lied. I'm angry because you deliberately made yourself sick. Do you understand?" Her knee gently pushed my legs apart. "Because of me, you hurt yourself. So I wanted to kill myself." I murmured. Chloe had once said, "Everyone's world is different, and in her world, there was only me. So don't make your sister sad, don't make your sister suffer. Okay?" Her kiss landed wet on my neck. "I'm afraid one day I'll completely lose my mind and won't be able to love you anymore," she whispered. I felt her gentle bite, her voice shifting into something like pain. And memory, whether you hold a knife to sister's throat or break her leg, what can I do? I'll accept it. But if you get sick, if you feel bad, if you suffer, what do you want me to do? I'm going crazy. So please, torture your sister more. Just don't hurt yourself. I remembered in both lives my sister had always been like this. Even covered in wounds, she would still cling to me. I wrapped my arms around her neck tightly. But I love you too, sis. You should trust me more. I love you too. Those words exploded like fireworks. I felt my sister freeze. And the next second I regretted saying it. My sister was too crazy. Tears streamed down my face, not just from what she was doing to me, but from the way my heart ached. At some point I finally understood her pain was tied to mine. Her kiss landed over my heart. It was both an invasion and a surrender. Like two creatures of darkness feeding off each other, never able to crave the light, only draw it from one another. When I was a child, I was terrified of the dark, terrified of falling into a nameless abyss. But if my sister was the abyss, I would gladly fall, sis. I called her name unconsciously. She lifted the black cloth from my eyes. I looked into hers. They sparkled like the most constant stars in the universe, blazing right into my heart. It made me want to cry with shame. Her sharp little teeth bit into my neck. You once said sister was your dog, she murmured. Now, do you want to do something to this dog? I couldn't hold back any more, becoming a demon of hell, dragging my own sister into an eternally burning abyss. Morning light spilled faintly over the bed. I moved my arm and my sister clung to me tighter. Most brothers cling to their sisters like octopuses. But with us, it was my sister who clung to me. Her elegant nose nuzzled against my neck. I reached out, gently touching the red mark on her skin. Ethan, she whispered in a teasing, slightly nasal tone. You were so passionate last night. I thought you wouldn't bear to mark me like this. She laughed lightly against my neck, every sound tugging at my heart. Sorry, I said, without a shred of sincerity. I couldn't help myself. Want me to make it up to you? I sat up and pulled her astride me. The morning light hit her face perfectly. She squinted instinctively, her hand resting on my waist. Her face looked like a masterpiece, like a sculpture from an ancient Greek artist. She leaned down and bit my shoulder. I reached up, brushed a stray lock of her hair aside. She ground her teeth slightly. It didn't hurt at all, but I still hissed. Endure it, she said, gripping my neck. I nodded obediently. She looked down at the teeth marks she'd left on me, but before she could admire her work, I flipped the blanket and pulled her under with me. The world turned dim, filled only with her scent. My kiss landed on her spine like the lingering warmth of dawn. Damn, my sister caught a cold. Serves her right, neither of us were in great shape now. I could breathe clearly, but she was all wrapped up in a coat, sniffling. Want to go to the hospital? I asked, feeling her forehead. I'm fine. She nuzzled into my palm. Ashley might be connected to an illegal drug lab, I said. But she's clever. I was already investigating her before you stepped in, just missing some key evidence. Sure enough, in both lives, my sister had investigated Ashley, but both times she'd come up short, because she was focused on the drugs. But Ashley might be into something even more dangerous. I tugged her sleeve. I think Ashley and Sean might be conspiring to commit insurance fraud. My sister froze. You mean Sean got close to me first, then Ashley stepped in, got to know me, eventually marry me, kill me, and collect the insurance? It's a wild guess, I admitted, but her eyes darkened when I said kill me. Their IDs might even be fake. Sis, try looking into that angle. She stared at me for a long moment, then smiled. What? Want to play detective now? Actually, my sister was a detective, a private investigator, but not the kind you read about in books. I hated her job. She was smart but had no formal education. Back then there was only enough money for one of us to go to school, so I went to high school. She worked shady jobs to support me. I'd seen her come home covered in bruises. Only later did I find out she'd been working underground as a fighter, some detective. More like someone who would do anything for money. Ethan? My sister's slightly nasal voice pulled me back to the present. I looked up. She suddenly wrapped her scarf around my neck, kissed me through the thick wool. "Thank you for being on my side." I stood stunned. My nose stung with heat. "I've always been on your side," I whispered. "I won't leave, not in this life." Silly. Sister. After winter, the first signs of spring finally appeared. I stood by the window, watching the ice melt. The heater fogged up the glass. The kid next to me was doing her homework. This was my last job before graduation, tutoring part-time. Through the window, I saw someone leaning against an old silver sedan, staring at me. My sister. She wore a camel-colored cashmere sweater. So pale, she almost blended into the snow. I couldn't tell if she was spacing out or watching me. My phone buzzed in my pocket. It was her. "Stop looking at me, Mr. Teacher. Focus on teaching. The kid next to you is practically bursting with curiosity." I turned my head. The girl who was diligently studying moments ago now stared at me, eyes sparkling. "Mister, who's that woman?" "Is she your girlfriend?" I ruffled her hair, then turned back to the lesson. Outside, the piles of melting snow marked the end of a long, silent winter. As I walked home, stepping on the soft, wet ice, Chloe opened her arms. "Hey, be careful." I pulled her into my arms. She wrapped around my waist, and I let her hold me. My breath turned into white mist in the cold air. She pulled my hood up for me. From under it, I watched her tilt her head and kiss me. On the way home, I held her hand. Only because the pavement was slippery, of course, not because I craved her. Warmth. We talked as we walked. "Remember the town we used to live in?" I said. "After our parents disappeared, you brought me to the city." She nodded. "The police officer who handled their disappearance. She got transferred here. I ran into her." My chest tightened. I gripped her hand harder. "It's okay," Chloe said, her voice gentle, dissolving into the snowy air. I gave them a lead on Ashley. She probably came to thank me. When we got home, a plainclothes police officer was waiting at the door. Compared to before, her hair had more gray, but her eyes were still sharp. Her gaze fell on our joined hands, her expression intrigued. "Long time no see. You two siblings are still so close, huh? It's been over 7 years, hasn't it, Ethan and Chloe?" We sat on one side of the sofa. She smiled at us. The wrinkles around her eyes gave her an air of warmth, but I knew better. Veteran cops were masters of conversation. They knew how to peer into hearts. My sister handled it better than I did. "Detective Wagner, is that commendation plaque for me?" she asked sweetly. "I just helped a little." "You didn't have to come all the way." Wagner smiled faintly, still watching her closely. "Thank you for assisting in taking down Ashley and her criminal group. The trial starts next week if you're interested in attending." She handed the plaque to my sister. Chloe reached for it, then paused halfway. "But speaking of which, your parents, after all these years, have you two discovered anything new?" I jolted upright. The coffee table rattled slightly from the sudden movement. Detective Wagner was watching me, eyes keen with interest. My sister reached out and gently took my hand. "Excuse me," I said, forcing a smile. "The kettle in the kitchen should be boiling. Let me make you some tea." My steps were rushed. I pulled open the kitchen door, shut it behind me, and leaned against the sink, gasping. My heart was pounding like mad. The sun outside was setting, shadows flooding the space. The bubbles in the drain quivered like something was trembling. Beneath the surface, this wasn't like my last life. Why was that case being brought up again? Was it because I gave my sister that clue? Because she just so happened to run into Detective Wagner? Had the timeline changed? But my sister and I were finally on the right track. Finally beginning to live like normal people. "Please no." I dug my nails deep into my palm, the pain anchoring me, dragging me back from the edge. From the living room, I could still hear the low hum of conversation drifting in. "My brother's always been timid, you know. Our parents disappeared when we were kids." "You just scared him a little just now," my sister said. Her voice was calm. "Not submissive, but not confrontational either." "Oh?" Wagner replied. "Actually, I always found it strange. Your parents disappeared, but you and your brother didn't seem more Frantic. Do you think they're alive somewhere? Or do you believe they're dead? A pause. Then my sister's voice rang clear. I think they're dead. Detective Wagner hummed thoughtfully. If my father were still alive, my sister continued, that gambling addict would probably smash up everything, just to claim the house I bought for my brother and use it to pay his debts. And if my mother were alive, she'd rather die than let my brother go to college. She'd force him to sell a kidney. So, whether they're alive or not, I hope they've been dead a long time. Wagner didn't reply after that. She must have realized trying to guilt-trip my sister wasn't going to work. My brother's been in the kitchen a while. I'll go check on him. I heard the soft sliding sound of the kitchen door opening. After a moment, she hugged me from behind. Only then did I realize I was shaking. I tilted my head back slightly. I could see the boundary between light and dark, where the sunset ended and the shadows took over. I realized we had always been living in the dark. The living room, where Wagner sat, was brightly lit, but the kitchen couldn't even hold on to the last sliver of sunlight. It was a damp, oppressive little cage. I heard Wagner's voice again, loud and clear. But the law shows no mercy. Whether someone is dead or just missing, I'll find the culprit. That's my duty as a police officer. I shivered. My sister gave a small laugh. She lifted my chin and kissed me defiant, unbothered. While the detective in the living room preached about justice and righteousness, here in the dim kitchen, my sister's hand slipped beneath my shirt, brushing over my waist. She kissed. My nose, my lips, my neck. She whispered softly, murmuring decadent things. Her touch made my vision swim. Through the edge of my vision, I could still see the bright light pouring in from the living room. Maybe I'd already descended to the deepest layer of hell. Maybe that's why I wasn't afraid of the dark anymore. Maybe that's why I hated the light. May brought with it the intense cry of cicadas in summer heat. I sat outside the police station, watching people come and go until I spotted her salt and pepper hair, sharp gaze. Detective Wagner. She was clearly past middle age, but still radiated energy. She tucked away her wallet and stretched. When she saw me, she smiled. Hey, Ethan, you've been visiting this old lady quite a bit lately. I handed her the bubble tea I'd been holding. She grumbled, pretending to dislike young people's drinks, but took a huge sip anyway. What's up? She asked. Heard you're graduating soon? Where's your sister? I ignored her question. The old house. Back in our hometown. It's being demolished. She raised an eyebrow. That self-built place? Well, that's good news. That area's being developed now, right? You'll probably get a decent payout. I went quiet for a moment, then looked up at her. When I was little, my parents used to hit me, a lot. The setting sun was caught in my eyes. I watched the shift in Wagner's face, calm, to puzzled, to something heavier. I was young and stupid back then, hurt and angry, maybe. I really could have done something terrible. The smile fell from her face. Detectives are always sharp. I could see her mind running fast, connecting one thread to another. Maybe in a second she'd imagined 1,000 possibilities. I turned and walked away. When I got home, my sister had already made a full table of food. I told her class ended at 4. It was already 6. Then I remembered right after I was reborn, there'd been a time just like this. She'd sat waiting for me on the sofa, silently. I walked over, took her hand. Sis? I called her. She sat in the descending twilight, gripping my wrist, pulling me into a hug. Where did you go? To see Detective Wagner, I admitted. I'd promised her I wouldn't lie anymore. She sighed, ruffled my hair. Fool, so much could be said in a single touch. In the way she wrapped her arms around my neck. In the way her fingers tangled in my hair, looping strands again and again. If everything in the world had a temperature, then this sweltering summer was the one I hated most. Eat first, she said softly. Her fingers brushed my bangs aside, breath grazing my lips. Eat what, sister? Dinner, sister. We mixed up our words. I looked down at her, then pulled her tightly into my arms. Outside, a bicycle bell rang. The scent of Sichuan pepper and cooking wafted through the open window, but I knew summer was ending. So I kissed her, desperate and full of fire, like I was racing against time. I wanted to crush her into my heart, Carve her into my memory. Never forget her, not for a single breath in this lifetime. I called her, asked if she could come to my graduation. She sounded dismissive. Don't know, might have a case tomorrow. Client lost their cat. You're dead if you don't come, I muttered through gritted teeth. She laughed. How dead? I'll never want you again. This whole life. Silence stretched for a moment on the other end. Then she whispered, That's a death sentence, from which there's no return. Truthfully, I still didn't know if she'd come, but I was the valedictorian. I had to give a speech. She'd paid for my education with every scrap of money she earned from underground fights. Scrimping and saving, sometimes only eating steamed buns and salted vegetables for weeks. The superhero I called my sister had bought my future with pain I couldn't even imagine. I wanted her to see that her brother had made something of himself, but when I got on stage, all I saw was a sea of unfamiliar faces. I hadn't seen her before going up. Maybe she really had gone off to find that lost cat. Still, I mentioned her. Thank you to my sister. Without her, I wouldn't be here today. I didn't know if she heard. Maybe she really wasn't there. But when I stepped down from the stage, someone blocked my path. A fool. With flowers in their hands, then I realized that fool had my sister's face. I froze. It was the first time she'd ever given me flowers. Her tie was a little crooked. She'd clearly just finished with a client. Maybe she even turned down a big case to come. She leaned forward and smiled at me. Hey, Ethan, bought these roses for nothing. You're much prettier than the flowers. In the 15 minutes it took us to cross the campus field, I counted 27 guys sneaking glances at her. 3 of them even asked for her number, treating me like I didn't exist. I started feeling thankful. She never spent time on campus. Otherwise, I might have had some young, rich rival on my hands. Graduates filled the field. Snapping photos, I tugged at her sleeve. Sis, let's take a picture together. I rarely ever took pictures with Chloe. The old me always thought there was nothing worth capturing with my controlling sister. But this time, I wanted to. She looked down at me, something intense flashing in her eyes. I was quietly relieved. We were surrounded by people. I asked a young woman nearby to help us take a few photos. When she handed my phone back, the girl smiled. You and your girlfriend look great together. I didn't deny it. Thanks, I said. I think my girlfriend and I look great too. My sister's eyes darkened, blazing. That's the first time you've said it, she whispered. The summer wind swept across the busy field, lifting her tie. My sister had never been a part of my youth or my adolescence, but she made my heart race more than anyone else ever had. In the quiet alley just 100 meters from the field, the summer wind howled as my sister pinned me to the wall and kissed me. That's the first time you called me your girlfriend, baby. I've waited so long to hear that. She kissed me until my legs turned to jelly. Life started to settle into a rhythm. Things were getting better. We avoided talking about that matter. Woke up together. Brushed our teeth side by side, watching. Our reflections in the mirror went to work sometimes. I'd bring her fresh white roses. Sometimes she'd bring me whatever dish she was experimenting with. I'd say, "This is how you repay kindness?" With malice. Then the rainy season came. Our travel plans got canceled by nonstop storms. She didn't know who to blame, so she got mad at me. I held her and told her to sleep. Eventually she really did. When she woke, the rain still lashed against the window, but the sunset pierced through it. The streetlights flickered on one by one. She leaned against me in silence, still angry. I brushed her bangs aside. She tilted her head up and kissed me. Fool, one night I came home early. It was her birthday. I planned a surprise. Slipped into her study, though it was more a cluttered room of books and files now. Used to be where I crammed for exams. Now it was her workspace. I wanted to hide her present in a cabinet. But when I opened a drawer, I saw a stack of ordinary white paper in the corner of her desk. It looked normal, except there were faint marks, indentations, like someone had written something on top of it, and then taken the top sheet away. I stared at it. My eyes flicked to the pencil nearby, and without thinking, I picked it up and began to trace. The faint indentations on the page told me someone had written on it before my sister, most likely. I followed the trail of faded gray pencil, and slowly, the words emerged. Demolish 9.17. It looked like the date. The day our old house back home was scheduled to be torn down. My heart dropped into a cold, endless abyss. No one else knew what secrets that house held. In my last life, I never even made it long enough to witness its demolition. But now, with that date looming so near, it felt like I was being dragged down into something I couldn't escape. Ethan? What are you doing? A quiet, calm voice pulled me back. My sister was leaning against the doorframe, watching me with composed eyes. Sis? I instinctively crushed the marked paper in my hand. Her gaze fell on the paper ball. What is that? Let me see. I tossed the paper into the trash can lightly, walked over, and looped my arm around her neck. She leaned down slightly to meet my eyes, her own as clear as glass eyes. I couldn't bear to see shattered. I lowered my head and gently nuzzled her lips. She let me, even supported me by the waist. Happy birthday, I whispered, handing her the gift I'd prepared, a photo album filled with pictures of just the two of us. My sister and I placed it solemnly on the shelf next to the fridge. Only 2 photos, she said, half laughing at herself. It'll be full, I promised. I picked up the Polaroid. She stood next to me, behind us the soft glow of birthday candles. One of her arms rested on the dining table. I tilted my head toward her and said, "Smile." She curved her lips into a soft smile. That was her 26th birthday. I was still by her side that day, Don, and to be honest, every day I'd ever spent with her, I'd always been greedy for more. But that 9.17. It hung over me like a curse, eating away at what little summer we had left. September 16. The day before the demolition, I went to the police station. My sister had told me she was out of town for business. I came alone. Before arriving, I called Detective Wagner. "Hey, young lady, you haven't contacted me in a while," she answered. Her voice was as calm as ever, like she always had things under control. "Detective Wagner, I want to turn myself in," I said. Like I was dropping a bomb. She should have reacted, stood up, snapped the cuffs on me. But instead, she just invited me upstairs for tea. "Detective Wagner, did you hear me?" I said I want to turn my... She suddenly stopped walking. Young people these days, treating the law like a game. She looked back at me. "You want to turn yourself in? You better have proof you committed a crime." The setting sun stretched long shadows down the staircase. She stood above me, staring like her gaze could slice me in two. I took a breath and forced the words out. "My adoptive father, my adoptive mother, I killed them when I was 12. I walled them up inside our old house." I looked her straight in the eye. "You'll find the bodies when the house is demolished." She stared at me for a long time in silence. I hated those kinds of eyes, the ones that saw through everything. I preferred my sister's eyes. They were always soft when she looked at me. Well, isn't that interesting? The middle-aged detective finally chuckled, but I couldn't laugh. The sword of justice had finally fallen on me, cutting deep into the part of me that had abandoned my sister. "Are you 2 siblings taking turns turning yourselves in?" she asked. "Too bad your sister beat you to it." "What?" My voice caught. "You heard me. That house isn't being demolished tomorrow, it's being torn down today. Your sister lied to you." She paused, then added, "She was taken into custody yesterday. She's already at the demolition site. DNA testing is underway. Results should be out soon." She turned to me. "Want to come along? See who the real killer is?" It all made sense now. My sister, who never traveled for work, had suddenly gone on a business trip. My sister, who didn't ask what I'd seen in that crumpled note, because she meant for me to see it. My sister, who looked at me over lunch yesterday, like she couldn't bear to let go. It was because she thought it'd be the last time she ever saw me. I don't remember how. I ended up in the police car with Detective Wagner. I don't know what she said to me. Outside, the wind blurred the passing CITY. For the first time. I wanted to kidnap my sister. They said autumn had arrived, but my summer was gone too. My name is Ethan. The traffickers said it was stitched onto the cloth I was wrapped in when they stole me. I was 3 when they sold me to my adoptive parents. A bit thin, my adoptive mother said. The trafficker replied, "He's cheap. Not your own blood, so use him however you want. He'll sell well when he grows up. Doesn't cry, doesn't fuss." I snatched him from near the university shopping street. Good genes, trust me. They still bought me. That thing they called my father looked me up and down, touched my limbs like I was livestock. Heart, kidneys, money, people often forget their early years, but I remember everything. Just pain, really. Beatings from my mom for no reason. The dog chasing and biting me. Hunger, that hollow ache. Gnawing every night. I was 8 when they found Chloe and brought her back, their real daughter. That night, I was kicked out to sleep in the pigsty. I saw her then. She was just as filthy as me, but her eyes, they were beautiful. Just like her mother's. I liked that woman, my adoptive mother, because at least she fed me. That was the best anyone could be to me. Someone who fed me. I hated Chloe. After she came, Mom stopped feeding me altogether, but Chloe, secretly, gave me food. She said, "I'm your sister." I could barely talk then, just mimicked her voice clumsily. I hated her, but I clung to her without even realizing it. Chloe had taken everything from me, yet she was also the reason I survived. One day I quietly took her hand. She looked shocked. She was 13 then. I was 10. I didn't understand what kind of feelings she had for me, broken, obsessive, twisted. I just knew she was smart. Top student in the county. She was clean. She wasn't like me. I hated her even more, but when that man smashed a wine bottle over my back, dragged me by the hair across the floor, my skin raw and scabbed only, Chloe pulled me into her room. She traced my wounds with her cool fingertips. That night, I looked up at the moon from her arms. I didn't know what she decided that night. At 15, our home was a shack reeking of rot. I still lived in daily agony. My mother started behaving strangely. My father beat me more. My sister stayed quiet. I remembered clearly. One day, he'd beat me until I was gasping. A tooth fell out, rolled to Chloe's feet. I looked up and whispered, "Save me." Her pupils trembled. I blamed her for doing nothing. But I didn't understand. They were her parents too. She was still their daughter. The first time I showed unusual physical strength, my mother said, "Now you can earn money. You're happy, right?" She was losing her mind. Stayed in her room all day, snorting white powder. My father, a lunatic gambler, sold everything. Then one day they said I had to repay them. "Remember," my mom told me sweetly, "we gave you life. Build us a house, make us rich." I didn't know what she meant selling organs, didn't know how terrifying, how dirty, how insane it all was. I was scared, though. My mother pinned me down, made me kneel before my father. That woman, drugged out of her mind, did whatever he sighed. "Chloe, don't be afraid," she said. "We'll give you anesthesia, maybe lose a kidney. Then he'll be sold off as a slave." "But he owes us, doesn't he?" I panicked, thrashed. The world flipped. Everything shattered. My scalp was yanked. Teeth felt loose. My father smashed a bottle on my head. I screamed in my mind, "Why? Why me? What did I do wrong? It hurts. Don't you know how much it hurts?" Number 1 cared. My sister returned from school. Opened the door. She saw Mom forcing powder up my nose. Dad stripping me. A bottle shattered. Blood everywhere. She moved. The axe in her hands dropped. Blood sprayed, red stained everything, my face, my arms, my lips. She was emotionless. "Step back, I can't let your DNA be found." Her voice was calm, like she was making noodles, not cleaning up a crime scene. I washed, changed into clean clothes, set flowers in a cracked vase. She mixed cement, sealed the wall. The next day she brought me to the police, sobbing, "Officer, Mom and Dad haven't come back. I'm scared. Did they die?" She never told me she'd stuffed her university acceptance letter into her pocket just before walking into that house. A loud bang pulled me from memory. Fireworks. I looked up. Brilliant lights burst across the sky. Glowing over rows of flashing police lights, she stood there, handcuffed, our house, demolished. Officers walking in and out. I don't know if she saw me, but she always could, even from a crowd. I ran through neon lights. Through the wind. My sister stood on a raised platform, cuffed. I kissed her, right on the lips. Fireworks exploded. Behind us. That was my goodbye. She was my only star in a world of endless dark. They pulled us apart. She didn't look back. Didn't say a word like I was a stranger. She doesn't want you to be an accomplice, Detective Wagner said. She lit a cigarette. I stared at the sky, now empty. My father almost gutted me. My mother forced drugs on me. But she's the one who deserves to die? Why don't you go arrest them? Because you're incompetent? Wagner didn't react. Murder is against the law, that's all. What about a law to protect the sister who protected me? No one answered. I lowered my eyes, then asked, my sister, she's not mentally well. Can she get a lighter sentence? She got out early. 5 years instead of 7, but she looked different, thinner, colder. I brought her home, set an alarm just to wake up when she did. I ran to serve her a bowl of congee. Thanks, she said. She actually said thank you. She'd never said that before. Not even at our worst. I stood frozen. She ate quietly. Our mother, the real one, came down the stairs. Chloe, is the room comfortable? DNA proved it. My sister and I weren't related. Chloe had served 7 years for intentional injury. But the real cause of death? My adoptive mother killed my adoptive father, then overdosed herself. The wounds from the bottle. The DNA and the fatal injury. It wasn't Chloe's. Our memories had blurred from trauma. From blood. From fear. Chloe had never told me, but thanks to Detective Wagner, I found my birth parents, both university professors, but even now, after all that, she's still my sister. My only star. For decades, my parents never stopped searching for me. The instant they recognized me, my mother pulled me into her arms and sobbed so hard I thought her heart would break. Only then did I understand that the child who'd been abandoned, abused, and trampled on was still someone's beloved daughter. Someone 2 people on the other side of the world had dreamed of every single night. Mom and Dad treated me like treasure, willing to give me anything. I lived in a house big enough to have a staircase for the first time, bathed in a real tub for the first time. And when they learned about Chloe and me, they didn't try to keep us apart. I thought my sister. And I had finally made it through the storm, the day I picked her up from prison. I couldn't stop talking. I'd found Mom and Dad. I had a family now. I'd passed my teaching certificate exam and could start work next month. But in 3 days she said only 4 words to me. Oh, okay, all right, thanks. I felt ready to explode. She'd always smiled at me, coaxed me, whispered sweet nothings. Not once had she even murmured, I missed you. Then came a knock at my bedroom door. Chloe stood there in a black windbreaker, a bag slung over her shoulder, every inch of her screaming goodbye. Ethan, tell your parents I won't bother you anymore. I'm leaving. She really meant it. She was going to walk out while I was standing right there. Where are you going? I demanded. Home, she murmured, eyes downcast. No, sis, this is your home too. I grabbed her arm. She stiffened. Since you found your birth parents, don't call me sister anymore. Her voice sliced straight through me. Then, I'm still your boyfriend at least, right? I tugged her sleeve, desperate. She used to melt whenever I called her that. She hesitated, slipped my hand from hers. I was inside for 5 years, no contact. How can I still be your girlfriend? I staggered back, dizzy with disbelief. What's wrong with you? I cried. You haven't been yourself since you came back. She moved to push past me, gentle but firm. Angry and off balance, I fell against the doorframe. A splinter of old wood gouged my arm, blood welling. Fast. Chloe's eyes flew wide. She reached for me. I flung her hand aside. You don't want me anymore, right? Figured it out in prison? This brother's not worth raising? She stared, stricken. Go on, then. Get out. I don't want you either. I hate you. That was a lie. I felt my chest cave in even as I said it. I always used reverse psychology to prove she loved me. But this time, after a long pause, her eyes flickered and she truly walked away. She really left me. Day 4 after Chloe's release, I cut all contact. Afternoon light spilled warm squares across the sofa. Mom sat down beside me. Where's Chloe? She didn't come home last night. My throat burned. She doesn't want me anymore. Prison must have shown her I'm not good enough. Mom rubbed my back. I don't think that's why. When people see someone happy, they can't help remembering their own pain. You told me about her family. Maybe being near you reminds her of everything she's lost. She might feel she isn't worthy. I looked up, listening hard. That girl loves you, anyone can see it. But her love's tangled with sadness. Watching you from afar probably feels safer to her than standing at your side. Mom pressed the car keys into my palm. Go after her. Give her courage. There's no worthy or unworthy. You're what matters to each other. Where would she go? The sun was sliding toward dusk when I reached the rundown neighborhood we'd once called home. Our tiny apartment, her only sanctuary. I had a key. The door creaked open and the sharp scent of liquor hit me. Bottles littered the table. Chloe? Barefoot, slouched, drunk over it, clutching the photo album I'd given her for her last birthday. I shook her shoulder. Get up. Bleary-eyed, she looked at me. Why don't you want Ethan? I asked. Tears brimmed instantly. I didn't abandon him. I didn't. I'm drunk, she stammered, panicking. Then why leave? Because he doesn't need his sister anymore. Her voice was small and wet. If he stays with me, people will gossip. She's been in prison. I can't let him be humiliated. What if he doesn't care? Other people care, she whispered. He has parents now, a home, people who love him. Sister's love isn't special anymore. She looked ready to break. I cupped her face. Wherever you are is my home. She laughed bitterly. That's not true. I lifted her chin and kissed her. Her eyes widened, clarity flickering. I'm dreaming, she breathed. Yes, so dream. Do whatever you want. She pushed me onto the table, kissed me hard. Words tumbled out. I miss you so much. Don't go. I love you. What do I do? I like you too much. Everything I'd ached to hear, she poured into the night. We had spent so many suffocating, humid nights right here, just the two of us lighting each other's darkness. Tonight my star flared again. Morning came, and Chloe tried to slip away. All over again. I sat on the bed, played back last night's recording, her voice, soft and pleading. Ethan, I love you so much. Don't go, I arched an eyebrow. Schizophrenic, sis. One person by day, another by night? She stared at me forever, dark eyes unreadable, then sighed, tackled me, and wrapped us in the thick blanket. Ethan, she whispered, from now on it's too late for you to regret.